Picture You Dead by Peter James, published by Macmillan, and this is a thriller that is set once again in Brighton and Sussex and surrounding area, and it's the 18th outing for D.S. Roy Grace. This is such a successful formula. It's on television, and you know, this is a very good read. What I very much like about this novel is that it has art at its heart, and as the novel opens we meet an art connoisseur who has a rather smart gallery in the heart of London, and in his possession he has a rather nice artwork. We're not quite sure at this stage what it might be, but he gets murdered. The provenance of this particular painting seems very questionable. Now, if you can't trace exactly the sales that have taken place of a particular artwork, then you might be dealing with a dodgy artwork. You know, it could be a forgery, or it could have come into someone's possession illegally or by theft, and it's quite highly regulated. But of course, there are loopholes. And this whole story centres around a piece called Summer by Jean-Honoré Fragonard, who was a proponent of the genre that is called fête galante. So you have sort of breezy women in long dresses and men on swings, and you know, lots of foliage. And it was created to accommodate Watteau, a kind of contemporary of his. And so this picture goes from hand to hand, but which is the real picture and which is the art forgery? We meet a couple who love to go to Sunday car boot sales, and they want to find, you know, the one big piece that will make them their fortune, obviously. And the husband finds a rather nice painting. He doesn't like the painting, but he likes the actual frame in which it's set. And he gets it home and he discovers, in fact, there is another painting underneath. And he takes it to the Antiques Roadshow, which is a Sunday evening TV programme in England where people bowl out with their antiques and get a sort of approximate valuation. And the experts on this TV show are bowled over by what they might have found. Yes, it might be an original Fragonard. But we know that there are people out there who want to acquire this particular painting because it's one of 4 paintings. It's the 4 seasons, and this is summer. And there is a man out there who, you know, seems to be a multi-millionaire, and he has a room where he keeps his own paintings. And of course, for him, if it's stolen or not, he doesn't care, because he will be viewing his paintings by himself, and his pleasure of an evening is to just, you know, study what is in his possession, what he has bought, and he doesn't care about anything. And he has a couple of henchmen, and they start to, you know, go out to look for this final piece that will fulfill the collection for this particular collector. So we know there is a lot of danger out there, and the couple is quite hapless. We then get introduced to an art forger who has quite a specific role, you know, with his clients, and yes, he does know the art collector. And then of course Roy Grace gets involved, and he's looking at the cold case of the art connoisseur who was killed maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he then starts to pull everything together. For me, this was a very enjoyable book. It bowled along at a nice place, and I think, you know, if you love art, you want to know a little bit more about art. For example, Cornellison, which is a wonderful place in London that provides materials for artists. You can go in and you can see wonderfully arranged pigments, you know, a colour palette that you don't normally get to see in everyday life. So there are little bits of information. The characters are nice. You know, Roy Grace has a, you know, backstory. He's expecting a child. He's also suffered the death of a child. You know, it's not an easy time for him, but then it's not easy time in novels for any detective. But he's a charming and very likeable protagonist. I listened to this as an audiobook, and I really enjoyed Daniel Wayman's narration of the book. He has different voices, he has different accents, and he does it really well. And when you have a very good narrator, it really brings up a very good book. It brings it to life. So highly recommended. Really like this book.